In the shadows of our everyday lives, hidden beneath the surface of seemingly peaceful communities, dark secrets often lie in wait. Today, we pull back the curtain on a chilling true crime case that shook a quiet neighborhood to its core, a story of trust betrayed, innocence shattered, and lives forever altered. Our tale begins in a suburb that, at first glance, seems like the picture of normalcy. Neat lawns, friendly neighbors, and the comforting hum of daily life make this community appear as safe as any. But as we've learned time and time again, appearances can be deceptive. Behind closed doors, in the privacy of well-maintained homes, sinister forces can be at work. In this case, what appeared to be an ordinary family was hiding something far darker than anyone could have imagined. The family at the center of our story seemed perfect. Loving parents, bright children, and strong ties to their community. They were the kind of family others looked up to, always involved in neighborhood events, always willing to lend a helping hand. But as we dig deeper into their story, we uncover a history of conflict, buried tensions, and secrets that would ultimately lead to tragedy. The events leading up to that fateful day unfolded slowly, like cracks forming in a seemingly solid foundation. Little signs, arguments behind closed doors, odd behavior that didn't quite fit, began to emerge. Friends and neighbors noticed these small red flags, but no one could have predicted how they would culminate in an act of unimaginable violence. The investigation into this case was complex, revealing layer after layer of deception. As detectives pieced together the timeline, they discovered a tangled web of motives, financial struggles, hidden infidelities, and simmering resentments that had been brewing for years. Each new revelation added another piece to the puzzle, but it also raised more questions. Who could be trusted? Who was hiding the truth? And most importantly, who was responsible? In the days following the crime, media coverage was relentless. The story gripped the nation as details emerged. It became clear that this was not a simple case of someone snapping in a moment of rage. This was something more calculated, more deliberate. The evidence pointed to a plan, one that had been in the works for some time. One of the most striking aspects of this case is how it revealed the duality of human nature. On the outside, the people involved seemed ordinary, hardworking, friendly, compassionate even. But beneath that veneer, darker impulses lurked. It's a reminder that we all have hidden sides, and sometimes those hidden sides can drive us to do things we never thought possible. As the investigation continued, forensic experts were brought in to analyze every detail. Tiny fragments of evidence, things that might have seemed insignificant on their own, became critical pieces of the puzzle. Blood spatter analysis, DNA evidence, and digital footprints all played a role in building the case. But even with the mounting evidence, there were still gaps in the story, questions that seemed impossible to answer. The turning point in the investigation came when a key witness came forward. Someone who had been on the fringes of the case but had crucial information that tied everything together. This person's testimony shifted the direction of the investigation and provided the breakthrough detectives had been searching for. With this new information, the puzzle pieces finally began to fit and the true story started to emerge. The trial that followed was nothing short of dramatic. In the courtroom, emotions ran high as prosecutors laid out their case, painting a picture of cold-blooded calculation. The defense, meanwhile, tried to sow doubt, suggesting alternate theories and questioning the reliability of witnesses. It was a battle of narratives, with both sides fighting to control the story that the jury would ultimately believe. Throughout the trial, the community watched with bated breath. This case had become more than just a crime. It was a mirror reflecting the fears and anxieties of people everywhere. If something like this could happen here, in this quiet, close-knit neighborhood, could it happen anywhere? Could we ever truly know the people around us? The jury's deliberation was long and tense, but in the end, they reached a verdict. Justice, in the eyes of the court, was served. The guilty party was sentenced, but for the victims' families, the pain didn't end there. The scars left by this crime would never fully heal, and the questions it raised about trust, betrayal, and the darker sides of human nature would linger for years to come. As we reflect on this case, we're reminded of the fragile line between normalcy and chaos. What drives people to cross that line? Is it desperation, anger, or something deeper and more sinister? And how can we protect ourselves when the danger is not from an unknown stranger but from those we trust the most? This case also highlights the critical role of investigators in seeking out the truth. The painstaking work of detectives, forensic scientists, and legal experts is often the only thing standing between justice and an unsolved mystery. Their ability to see through lies, connect disparate pieces of evidence, and pursue the truth even when it's uncomfortable or unpopular is what ultimately brings closure to these tragic stories. In the end, true crime isn't just about the crimes themselves. It's about the human stories behind them. It's about the choices people make, the pressures they face, and the consequences of those choices. It's about how lives intersect in ways that can lead to both beautiful connections and devastating outcomes. This story may be over, but the lessons it teaches us will continue to resonate. It's a stark reminder that we live in a world where darkness can hide in plain sight, where trust can be a dangerous thing, and where even the most ordinary lives can take a turn toward tragedy. So as you go about your day, take a moment to look a little closer at the world around you, because you never know what secrets might be lurking beneath the surface. Thank you for joining us on this journey through one of the most chilling true crime cases we've covered. Stay tuned for more stories that dive deep into the mysteries of human behavior, where we explore the darkest corners of the mind and the decisions that lead people down a path from which there's no return.